The title of our group story is Rewriting Us. This story is about Aurel Vera. She is a city girl currently pursuing her study at a prestige university in England. At the same time, she is also a well-known novel writer, with two of her work already adapted into stories that have received widespread attention. She has a close friend, Ivy Hazel, a kind-hearted girl who always helps Aurel in times of difficulty. However, their friendship is currently strained due to a misunderstanding while working on their assignment. This situation worsened as neither of them take the initiative to resolve the issue. They remain silent, each holding onto their ego. Aurel vents her frustration toward Ivy by writing a story that closely reflects the situation she is facing. The story is set in a magical world divided into two empires, Aurelia and Ravian. In this world, the conflict between white magic and black magic has separated them. Where the writing process does not go smoothly when Aurel accidentally falls asleep while working on the story and wake up inside the fantasy world that she created. Will Aurel remain trapped in the fantasy world she created herself, or is it all just a dream?
Next, I will explain about the character. We have character, which is protagonist, antagonist, dynamic, static, round, and flat. The first one is protagonist. The protagonist of the story is Aurel Vera, which is the main character who drives the story. She is a writer who expresses her emotional pain from her life into a story. Through her writing, Aurel unintentionally creates conflict between two empires, reflecting her own inner turmoil. Next, antagonist. Lyra Lavena is the antagonist who creates conflict and opposes peace between the two empires. She is driven by a deep grudge against the Queen Avera after being banished for misusing black magic. She spread lies to seek revenge. The dynamic character of the stories is Aurel Vera. Aurel Vera develops from being emotional and unstable to becoming mature and responsible. She realizes her mistake, stops the conflict, and fits her relationship in real life. The static character is Queen Avera Vin because her personality and values remain the same throughout the story. From beginning to end, she is portrayed as kind, wise, and calm in protecting the peace of her people. She does not change her beliefs and her actions. She continues to seek peace and refuses to act out of anger or revenge. The round character of the story is King Ryder Evander. King Ryder Evander is a complex character. He is a good leader but easily influenced, which makes him believe Lyra's lies without fully investigating the truth. Lastly, flat character. Ivy Hazel is a flat character because she is not deeply developed and only shows a limited number of traits. In the story, Ivy mainly represents Aurel's broken friendship and emotional conflict. Her role is simple and does not involve complex personality change or detailed background. Now we move to the setting. First, in library study room. This scene takes place in a library study room at night, in a cramped, quiet atmosphere filled with empty coffee cups and papers scattered on the table. It is in this space that a debate breaks out when Aurel suggests a change to the intro section, which goes against Ivy's original plan based on rubrics. Differences of opinion about the structure and creativity approach eventually spark a conflict that escalates in the closed space. The second one is Aurel's room. This scene takes place in Aurel's room at night in a quiet and closed space lit only by a steady desk lamp. As she writes, the atmosphere becomes increasingly heavy and emotional as she expresses her heartbreak and frustration toward Ivy into her creative work. She creates an imaginary world divided into two kingdoms, Aurelia and Ravian, symbolizing her inner conflict and feelings of being misunderstood. Overcome by emotion and exhaustion, Aurel eventually falls asleep on her notebook after expressing her thoughts. The third one is Grand Office. The scene is set inside a grand office during the daytime, designed with an impressive and luxurious atmosphere that reflects authority and power. The space is filled with towering bookshelves and a massive wall map of the Aurelia Empire, the fictional world Aurel previously created in her notebook, suggesting that her imagination has become reality. It is here that Aurel awakens from her sleep and finds herself inside the world she created, dressed in a grand outfit that symbolizes her position as a high-ranking figure within the Aurelia Empire. The fourth one is Grand Meeting Hall. Aurel walks into the Grand Meeting Hall guided by a Servian. In the Grand Meeting Hall, Queen Avera and King Ryder sat opposite each other, discussing the establishment of the Alteria Academy that they had agreed to establish.
For this part, I will explain the plot of the story. First, the exposition. The story begins in a messy library filled with empty coffee cups and crumpled papers. This setting symbolizes stress and exhaustion. At this point, Aurel and Ivy are working together on a project. However, the conflict starts when Aurel suddenly decides to change the introduction that they had already finalized. This creates the main tension between them because they have different approaches and ideas. Next, the rising action. The disagreement between Aurel and Ivy becomes more intense. Next, the rising action. The disagreement between Aura and Ivy become more intense. Aura suggests starting the presentation with a case study to make it more engaging. On the other hand, Ivy insists on following the rubric by introducing the theoretical framework first. As their discussion continues, the conflict becomes more personal. Aura starts to see Ivy as the rigid, while Ivy thinks Aura is not serious enough. Because they cannot compromise, the flirtation grows and the emotional tension between them increases. Now, I will continue with the climax. Climax happens when Aura finally expresses her feelings of being ignored and unappreciated. However, instead of understanding her, Ivy dismisses her emotions and accuses her of playing her victim. This moment is the peak of their conflict. Aura feels emotionally drained and disappointed, and in the end, she gives up and storms out of the library. This shows the breakdown of their collaboration. Next, the polling action. After Aura leaves, the atmosphere becomes quiet and tense. Ivy is left alone to deal with both the unfinished project and the emotional impact of the argument. Then, the distance between them becomes more obvious, and even though the conflict has already happened, it is still not resolved. This creates a sense of discomfort and lingering tension. Finally, the resolution. At the end of the story, Aura feels emotionally exhausted and isolated. She struggles to express her feelings, which causes the misunderstanding to continue. She believes that Ivy no longer understands her and has judged her unfairly. Their relationship remains unresolved, and the story ends without a clear solution. This highlights the negative effect of poor communication and the breakdown of trust between them.
The main problem in this story combines themes of division and manipulation, which endanger Queen Avera's life and threaten the stability of both empires. The instability of their work can be seen when the black magic student and white magic student fail to cooperate while fighting enemies who attack their academy. Their ego and selfish attitudes make them appear weak in the eyes of their enemy. The result, they are unable to defend the academy or themselves. The situation worsens when Lyra manipulates events by spreading slander about Queen Avera. This changed King Rider's perception of her from a partner and shareholder of the academy to an enemy and lead him to plan her murder. This made the conflict more serious and dangerous.
Okay, now I will explain the theme of this story. First, the story highlights trust and communication in relationship. When there is a lack of trust and manipulation spread, it can lead to serious conflict and even destruction. This is clearly shown in the war between King Rider and Queen Avera. Next, the story emphasizes the importance of cooperation. Differences in belief and ego can cause division and weakness. However, when people work together, they are able to overcome challenges and achieve success. Lastly, the character Aurel represents the theme of responsibility and personal growth. She realized that her actions have consequences and chose to fix her mistake. This shows her maturity and development as a character. So, this story teaches us that trust, unity, and responsibility are important in maintaining strong relationships and avoiding unnecessary conflict.
Now, I would like to tell the moral values that we can learn from this story. First, don't blindly trust others. We should not blindly trust others because trust needs understanding and good judgment. If we trust people too easily, it can lead to wrong decisions and even cause conflict or chaos. Next, revenge only brings destruction. When we act based on anger, we may hurt others and also ourselves. Revenge. Now, I would like to tell the moral values that we can learn from this story. First, don't blindly trust others because trust needs understanding and good judgment. If we trust people too easily, it can lead to wrong decisions and even cause conflict or chaos. Next, revenge only brings destruction. When we act based on anger, we may hurt others and also ourselves. Revenge creates more suffering, so choose peace is always the better option. Third, miscommunication destroys relationship. When there is lack of communication, misunderstanding happen. Small problems can become big conflicts, so honest communication is very important. Next, use power responsibly. We must use power responsibly because power should be controlled wisely. Uncontrolled power can create imbalance and chaos. With power comes responsibility. Lastly, every choice has consequences. Our decisions shape the outcomes and our actions can affect other people. So we must think carefully before making any choice.
Okay, now I will explain about the sample of script. First, at the top, we have the scene heading. It tells us where and when the scene happened. For example, INT means indoor, King Rider office, at night. Next is the action. This part describes what is happening in the scene, such as the setting, character movement, or atmosphere. Then, we have the character names. The names are written in capital letter to show who is speaking. After that is the dialogue. This is what the characters say in the story. Lastly, Script is important because it helps readers, actors, and directors understand the story. So, script must be clear and easy.